Welcome back to Clear Talk. On this episode, I'm going to share with you my secret to how I'm managing everything in my life right now without getting overwhelmed.
And then we discuss the first habit you need to build to become successful.
And lastly, how to know which voice in your head is yours and who's the other ones. By the way, let me know in the comments down below, what habit are you building right now in your life to help you achieve your goals? Enjoy the show. Welcome back to Clear Talk. I'm your host, Armin Shaffi. This is my co-host,
Jeanette Oduro.
And this is the #1 show for coaches and entrepreneurs who need clarity in their business and in their life. If you want your questions answered on the show live every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, all you got to do is go to askarmin.com. Did you practice that?
No.
That was perfect. AskArmin.com, submit your questions, and we'll give you a ton of free coaching worth of thousands of dollars for free. So all you got to do is post your questions in AskArmin.com, and then literally we get on the show and we give you a ton of free coaching on your business, consulting on your marketing, everything you need for free on the show every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. By the way, if you're on Facebook right now, hit that share button, share challenge so that more people can hop on and have some fun with us, ask some questions as well. If you're on Instagram, send this as a DM to somebody so that they can also be a part of the fun. And if you're on YouTube, I'm going to hit that subscribe button right now. If you like content for building your business, a coaching business, and learning how to master all the disciplines of building a really big business as well in your life, hit that subscribe button and that little notification bell so that YouTube can let you know when we post new videos. We've actually had we just posted our first free training for coaches on, I explained the 2 things that helped me make 6 figures as a life coach my first year. There's going to be more being posted, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of that as well. You good? How's everything been with you this week?
Good. It's been good. So, No, it's been good. It's been a good week. I mean, there's a lot that's been happening, of course, in the world, as there always is. Unfortunately.
What happened? Something happened? Oh.
Well, just do it one time.
I actually can't believe you made one movie.
No.
You made one Wakanda movie.
Oh, yes. Yeah. They were making the second. I don't know if they finished it. I don't know what they're going to do about it, but
I wonder who's going to take his place. R.I.P.
Yeah. He was actually a great actor. He did many amazing roles, many pivotal figures in Black history from was it when he did Get On Up, he played James Brown, he played
Jackie Robinson,
the baseball player. Naturally, he played Black Panther. So it is disappointing. It is sad, but
big shout out to him. He had 4 years of cancer, right?
Yeah, he had it for 4 years.
And he just
worked diligently.
Crazy.
Yeah, people were talking about his appearance the whole time. Oh, he looks skinny, he looks sick, blah blah blah, but
I wonder how he still played Black Panther. Even though he had cancer, think about
it. They definitely would have made some adjustments, but he's just and it's interesting. People are having the conversation he was so strong. He did all of this while he had cancer. He was so strong, but it's just about work ethic, right? If you are someone who's dedicated to your craft, nothing's going to stop you from doing it.
Colon cancer, was it?
Colon cancer.
How do you get that?
Was it colon or
colon
or the other thing?
Colon cancer.
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't know.
What is it?
I'm not sure. But you know what's the crazy thing?
I'm happy.
I know somebody else who did have colon cancer, but I actually don't know what the colon.
It's your butt.
My butt?
He did it for the kids.
It's
what?
That was the only.
It's butt cancer. What are you talking about?
Your colon.
It regulates something that goes into the digestive tract.
No,
okay.
It's your colon. It's where your poo goes through.
Your digestive system.
No, your colon.
Your
colon is your poo tract. That's what it is.
How do you get cancer there?
Look it up. I don't know.
We'll Google. We don't have to Google it. It doesn't matter.
I don't have to learn about it.
It doesn't matter.
I'm just so confused.
Either way, rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman.
Kobe and Chad in 1 year. Crazy, man.
There's been a lot.
I wonder at this point who's gonna die next. By the end of this year, I wonder who's going next.
Don't say that.
I'm just saying. It's crazy. Well, first of all, everyone dies eventually.
It's true.
You're right. But my point is
it's been a tough year.
Yeah. I don't think people are used to celebrities dying.
No.
Because you think they're immortal.
Mm-hmm.
Like your mind thinks they're like everywhere because they're in every movie.
Yep.
Anyways, that's crazy stuff.
But
So condolences to the family.
Yes, family, friends, all the people
It's
who
it's
have
it's
worked
a
with
terrible
him.
day when a superhero dies. Not life. Now
But
it's like yeah.
how
That's
was your
good.
week?
Amazing. It was really good. I did laser tag yesterday.
Fun.
Yeah, I ran.
I saw you
ran into a
posting
wall.
horses.
I ran right into a wall, so my shoulder still hurts. I took it seriously, but I won. And guess what my name was? Coincidentally, was Captain America.
Really?
The gun I had, the gun was Captain America.
That's fun.
So I was crazy.
Laser
so-
tag's very fun.
It's a lot of fun. But this place was crazy because like if you hit 3 kills in a row, you get a machine gun. So you just so I'm like walking. I literally would walk up like the Terminator, just shooting. And the person's like trying to hit me. I'm just killing everybody like this. It was a lot of fun.
Love it.
Yeah, that was good. It was a good weekend. This weekend I chose to like just do nothing work related. So yeah, nothing. Yeah, it was great. It was great. So I did that, and then we didn't ride a horse, but I saw a horse. I was at Niagara on the lake. It was really nice.
Very cute.
Yeah. What else did I do?
So lovely.
Had donuts. A lot of donuts.
Krispy Kreme?
A lot. No. It's this place in like Hamilton. It's like Granddad's Donuts or something.
Interesting.
And we bought 12. I ate 8. 7. I ate 7.
In one sitting?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Great.
7 whole donuts. That's intense.
See, I intermittent fast, so today it's
Okay. Yeah.
it's all gonna burn through me. It doesn't even.
It's true.
Yeah. Anyways, it's kind of a slow start to the show. We're just kind of
Just catching up.
It's a good week.
Just talking, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, let's get into questions.
Okay, awesome. So, question number 1. How do you manage to do it all? Be present, grateful, while building a business, managing people, having fun, working out. I get overwhelmed thinking about it. That question is from Alicia.
That's a great question. How do you do it all?
How do you do it all?
So imagine you ask an iPhone, how is your operating system managing movies editing software, Safari, Google Chrome, and all the different applications of a MacBook? Well, obviously an iPhone will get overwhelmed because an iPhone's not built. It's not programmed to handle that much RAM, that much stuff going on. But if you ask the MacBook, how do you do it all? It would give you one answer. That's what I'm designed to do. Similarly, the brain, your mind, you train it from a young age. You can untrain, you can train, you can do whatever you teach it is how it becomes. What you've programmed your mind and trained your mind to be capable of is what it will be capable of. So when you look at people, the only differences between them mentally is that their minds are trained differently. You look at for example, Warren Buffett. He owns hundreds of different companies, hundreds of thousands of employees. There's no given second in his life that probably something isn't going wrong. Everything's probably always going wrong at some point. So you ask someone like this, how do you do that? My mind's I think I'm so small in what I do. I'm just balancing exercise, relationships, business, family, whatever, right? But that's like child's play. Look at a Warren Buffett and you go, how do you do it? Well, it's simple. His mind has been trained. He has trained his mind to handle this kind of stuff. It's his automatic. It is his automatic operating system for him to do all that. It's odd for him not to be able to. But how do you get yourself to train your mind to that point? Well, it's called training for a reason. It's like you're asking me how do you lift so much weight? Let's say I can bench 300 pounds. How do you lift 300 pounds? And I'm like, well, years of training. So my muscles are trained to handle that kind of weight. If you asked me 3 years ago, maybe I'd be overwhelmed because I'm thinking about how do I do that. Well, you got to give it time, but you have to also make a very definite decision to train your mind to be able to do all this. So it's one step at a time. And all of it starts with a goal. You need to have a goal that you want to work towards that will gradually emerge you into all these things. So my goal is, I set a money goal because it's easier to kind of digest in the mind and to quantify. So because of my money goal I go on the way there, I need to become this person who can afford to make that kind of money. So I'm like, what kind of people make that kind of money? I look at all the people and the ones that I respect, I go, well, they also have all these other things in discipline. So one by one, I tackle each thing until it becomes an automatic operating system for me. What is what's the operating system called? The OS. What's ISO? No, not ISO. The iPhone, the operating system of an iPhone. It's called.
It's
something.
iOS.
Internal operating system.
Yeah.
iOS. Okay. You have an internal operating system, iOS. And so whatever your iOS, like an iOS 4 cannot do anything close to an iOS 11.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it advances. So you got to look at your mind the same way. When you look at me, I'm probably just like an iOS 9 and you're like at iOS 3. So obviously you're overwhelmed if you look at it because your mind's isn't trained to do that yet. So you never want to compare yourself to someone that's, tens of chapters ahead of you.
Yeah.
What you more so want to do is say, where are you at and what do you want to go? And so my real answer to you is this. It doesn't happen overnight. I'm not a kind of person that does this. I've trained my mind to do it. So I can handle all of these things. But it's not, what I'm trying to get across to you, it's not hard when you've trained your mind to do it. Like I said, an iPhone, obviously trying to do what a Mac does is going to be difficult. But a Mac's designed to do a Mac, so it's easy. It's like it's normal state to do that. So it is my normal state to handle so many different things in my life and do it so well. I remember years ago when I used to think about being obsessed with building my business, but also I'm like, how do I find the time to work out and have a relationship? I had to do all these things when I wasn't doing all that stuff. And I remember then I would feel overwhelmed because I thought I'm doing so much of my business already. So it's like, how would I find the time to do all this stuff?
Yep.
Well, it's because at that time, the level I was at in terms of discipline and capabilities and potential was lower. I was in a beginning stage of my business. I was in a beginning stage of my growth. So the person I was couldn't handle thinking about doing all that. But something hit me one day and I was just thinking about it. I'm like, well, if what I'm thinking is true and it's not possible to do all these things, how are people like Warren Buffett existing? How do they do it? How does Bill Gates do it? How does Jeff Bezos do it? How do these guys do it? If they have so many things going on, I'm like, clearly there's something they know I don't know. Mm-hmm. Clearly they do something I don't do. Clearly they are something I am not. So I'm like, well, I just have to figure out what that is. If I can figure out what they think like and what they do to be able to handle so many things, I'm in. And I realized over time, there's like 4 levels of developing habits in your mind. The first level is unconscious incompetence. It's when you don't know what you don't know. The next level is conscious incompetence. This is when you find out that you don't know something. Yep. The third level is conscious competence when you're trying to apply to learn it. And then unconscious competence is when you automatically do it. I'll give you an example. When you first are born, you have no idea what shoelaces are. Unconscious incompetence. The second level is when you start seeing other people with shoelaces, you go, oh, there's shoelaces. I don't know how to tie shoelaces. Yeah. So now you're consciously incompetent. You're incompetent. You don't know how to do this. Now you go, well, I want to learn how to do this. So what you do is you start becoming consciously competent in applying yourself to do it. So this is the phase where you're sitting there, running around the tree, and you keep doing it over and over, months and months, and eventually, and I can't remember the day I kind of did it without thinking, but eventually you emerge into unconscious competence. Yeah. Now it's like you're on autopilot. You just literally get up and tie your shoes and run. Same thing with vehicles, cars. Yep. Same thing with language. Mm-hmm. Same thing with anything you learn. Habits are the same way. The habits you need to manage your life successfully are the same thing. The thing is, people don't get past the unconscious the conscious incompetence or the conscious competence. They don't get past it. They don't get to unconscious incompetence. Yep. And what I mean by that is they don't get themselves to an autopilot stage. I have, over years, got myself to an autopilot stage where doing all of this is normal to me. It's not an effort I have to put in. It's just something I do. And habits are built the same way. If you can build habits the same way, what will happen is you'll find it very easy to do hard things. Mm-hmm. And we talk about this a lot, which is it's easy to do hard things, it's hard to do easy things. It's hard to do easy things because you're trying to always do like the easiest way thing. Well, that's usually never going to get you what you want. So you're going to go through difficulty in life because you have to be complacent with things. Yeah. It's easier to do hard things because if you do the hard things, you'll get to the goal that you want. But how do you make hard things easy? By becoming better yourself. And that's when you get to autopilot. So you got to get yourself, the answer is you got to be able to develop the habits of doing all this stuff and put it into autopilot. How do you do that? Repetition and time. Repetition and time. There's no hack to this. I'm not going to give you some secret, just hit your wrist 3 times and go like this, and now you're turned on activated. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to genuinely, repetitively apply the habit, and over time it will become a part of you. No different than anything in nature. You plant a seed, you water it every day, eventually it becomes a plant. It grows. There's no shortcut to it. So if you want to do all this stuff, sit down and do one thing at a time. First, I want to get really good and disciplined on my business. Once I cover that, I want to do it on my fitness. Then I want to do it on this. Yeah. And then over time, you'll find it'll become a part of your personality to just stick with things, make them a habit, and it's on autopilot. And one day you'll wake up and your life's completely opposite to what it used to be. All the good things you want to do are autopilot, and it takes conscious effort to do bad things. Whereas most people live in all the bad things are very easy to do right now, like Netflix, eat crap, do nothing, right? And then it's conscious effort to do the right thing. Well, you just flip it so that all the successful habits become an autopilot phase for you. That's really the key to like the real like secret is you got to get successful habits that help you achieve your goals into an autopilot so that you just do it without thinking. Then your life becomes very easy, you know. Long answer for a short question.
And Armin said something that I think is really important if it goes towards your goal, right? Like, I think one of the big questions that I want to say me, but I'm pretty sure you asked yourself this in the beginning as well, was like thinking about your goal and what that lifestyle looks like. You mentioned it. Like, what does that person look like as they're living their day-to-day life? Are they able to do the things that normal people do, in a sense? And like Armin's goals are huge, lofty, to some people, to most. So what goes into his day-to-day and what things that he will prioritize and do are all a part of his goal. But if it's not a part of your goal, then you might be wasting time trying to do it all. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, you may not even need to do it all if that's not your goal.
It's true.
Your goal specifically will lay out what you need to do. And if you try to do more than that and you're like just inputting information and like you think you need to be this person because whatever reason is in your mind, then that might not be the most effective way, right? Go back to your goal and realize what you actually want and what is going to go into that. Naturally, there's going to be discipline. That goes into everything. Naturally, there's going to be patience. That goes into everything. But things like seeing the things that Armin does and being like, oh, he does marketing. He's a coach. He's a trainer. He's a mentor. Da 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 da. That might not be your goal. So don't compare your story to Armin's story the same way that you shouldn't compare, you know, his level of productivity to your own, right? Think about what goals are going into what you want to do, and then think about all the things that you have to pick up along the way to be that person. Yeah. And if you don't need it, don't do it. Don't waste your time. So I think that's awesome, true. Though. It's really, really important.
Depending on your goal. I think every person should habitualize their exercise, healthy eating, goal-driven, like some type of goal, like productivity, like working towards it, and like relationships, like managing them. So the fundamentals, like to have peace of mind in your life, there are these fundamental things you have to take care of. And so to do that, the real answer is just autopilot. So make sure you're not comparing yourself to a person's habit who has different goals than you.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like it's that's
a big trap.
It's
a big trap.
Yeah. I remember I did it too.
I did it too. We all did it.
We would watch interviews with like billionaires, and we would try to adopt their thinking. And I'm like, but a billionaire wasn't thinking like this when they were starting out.
Yeah.
They think like this now because they're a billionaire or a millionaire or whatever. And that's just money. Someone who, you know, was once upon a time fat and now is completely fit. Well, the way they think fit is not what they thought like when they're fat getting out of it. You got to find someone who's literally a few steps ahead of you and just got out of where you were and learn from them, because they will give you the most realistic, applicable advice or things to model, because they're exactly where you just were. When you look at someone so far away, like I don't think about, like for example, Warren Buffett reads 7 hours a day or something? Bill Gates reads 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
Bill Gates reads 4 hours every night.
Yeah.
Some people post that on their Instagram and be like, oh.
Personal. Yeah.
Bro.
You don't have time for that.
He can sleep today and like earn more than you would make in your entire life by tomorrow. Okay, so financially, the guy every second makes, you know, Jeff Bezos makes like $200,000 a second or something.
Oh, something insane.
That's just money. Now we're talking about the fact that his life, his infrastructure of life is built.
Yes.
Everything for him is a bonus now. He's just getting ahead. He's not trying to fix anything.
No.
Right? There's no problems in terms of fundamental needs. Okay, so when he's reading 4 hours at night, it's because for him, that is the priority at that stage of his life. You might not afford to be able to read 4 hours a night because you have to be putting that into building something that he's already built. So, like, you know, I don't read consistently, but I read. I read this morning, but I hadn't read for like a week before that. Why? Because I'm trying to get this across to you guys. If you're just starting in a business, or if you haven't crossed $1 million in a year yet, like, you shouldn't be reading hours and hours a day. That's not how you're going to make money. It's not how you're going to build a business. It's not how you're going to fix things. You have to learn the solution, then go apply it. It's like 80-20 rule. I'm saying like read 20, like educate yourself 20%, go apply all of that 80%.
I like that.
That's good.
That is good.
I like that too. It's kind of like what I do.
It is what you do, but it is now. Like you said it, and I was like, that is what you do. That
like
makes sense.
I haven't been to a seminar, even if it wasn't COVID. Like I didn't sign up for a seminar. Even imagine there was no COVID. I haven't gone to a seminar since December, and that one I just went was Tony Robbins thing. I don't really go to like.
Before then, it was what, 2 years, a year. No, are you counting online courses?
No, I'm counting like seminars.
In-person seminars.
Like
so December.
Yeah, online courses. I got.
And then the one before that was early last year, right? Early 2019.
Yeah. All I'm trying to say is I know people that like
seminar a month.
Always learning. Yeah. No, you should be always doing.
Mm-hmm.
Learning is just to know what to do.
Yeah.
Right. The surgeon learns how to do surgery and then goes and does it.
Yeah.
You don't keep reading about it. No one's life is gonna get saved.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one example. Like, don't compare yourself to a person way ahead of you. Okay. So I got coaches in my program talking to me about membership sites. I want to build a membership. I want to build an app. I'm like, for what? Like, what are you talking about? You don't have anything yet.
Yeah,
you don't have a program. You don't have a product. You don't have sales. You relax. Yeah. You're like, I want to build carbon fiber tires for my Ferrari that I haven't built yet. No, you can't. Build the damn car first, right? So like, yeah, I'm very straight with my clients when I work with them, the coaches I work with, because I just knock the nonsense off. Like, focus on building one thing at a time. Okay, like one thing at a time. God, I remember reading an audiobook from like Bob Proctor, I think, and he said he learned from somebody such like a fourth hand advice I'm giving right now. It's like so many levels that it's like a broken telephone. Anyways, I remember the concept. The concept was the best way to be productive is to write down the top 6 things you want to do that day, you want to accomplish. Uh-huh. And he goes, you don't move to the second one until the first one's done.
Ooh, yes. So
I remember reading that, and I'm like,
I've heard that.
Interesting. I learned this like a year ago. I'm like, okay, cool. So I put down like, I got to do this. These are the goals I have. Well, I cannot go to goals number 2 until goal number 1's done. Uh-huh. And he goes, it might take the entire day to finish goal number 1, but you actually finished. Mm-hmm. Whereas most people will put down 20 things on a list and will never get any of it done because they're trying to do all of it at once.
Yes.
So your brain is it's not that sophisticated that it can start multitasking. Like, you're not an octopus, okay? So you got to set down one thing and focus on that one thing. Yeah. Until you've mastered that one thing, do not move to the second thing, okay? And that's how you do everything in life. Everything, okay? So, just compare it. Like, find someone that's a little bit ahead of you. I might not be that person. If I am, then great. Mm-hmm. Then now you can apply what I'm doing.
Yes.
Right? But I'm telling you, no matter what, when you find that person, make sure that they're appropriate to where you're, like, where you could learn from. And then autopilot. Like, repetition and time. Over time, you have to have faith. You got to, like, start doing it and going, like, by 6 months from now, it will be on autopilot.
Yes.
I've done that with everything in my life. And you know, it's funny. The only reason why someone's afraid to do that is, like, it's going to take so much time. What is it going to take you? A year? 2 years to build a habit like this? Okay, well, if you don't do it, you'll never have it. I think about that. I'm like, I try to make myself feel positive. 6-7 years ago when I started learning about, like, positive thinking in bad situations. Mm-hmm. And I remember reading it. It's like every time something bad happens, we should say, this is good. I don't know why yet. Well, for the first 6 months, it was so hard because something bad would happen. I'm like, oh, you know, my initial reaction was bad. Yeah. And then I would stop myself and go, this is a good thing. I don't know why yet.
Yes. And
then I did that, but it's 6 months I kept doing that until one day I actually genuinely, something happened. I'm like, oh, that's good. And I'm like, oh. And then, like, I caught myself unconsciously competent.
Yes. Completely
autopilot being positive about something. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. That was my goal. My goal is to get my positivity to a subconscious level so that I don't have to try to be positive. I would have to try to be negative if I want to, but I can automatically be positive. And I got there. And then a year in, it was like who I was.
Yes.
And that's like, that was the beginning. And all I did was focus on that one habit first. Just being positive about everything. Yeah. Right? So, you know, same thing in everything. In business as well. I first got really good at one thing in my business, then the next thing, then the next thing. I don't try to do it all at once. And by the way, if you have other people on a team, their one thing might be different. So that's how you move faster exponentially, because 5 of us here are mastering 5 different things all at once. One thing at a time, though. You see what I'm saying? So, anyways, it's a good answer, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, we got some comments.
Now I have a question for you.
Hmm.
So what was the number one habit that you gained that completely changed your whole business life or personal life? Which business and personal is the same. So what's the number one habit that you gained that you noticed that it completely changed everything in your life?
That one habit? When people ask questions like this, they're always looking for like a shortcut, you know?
Yeah.
Because they want to find the one thing you could do instead of doing it all.
Yes, because it's a collection. It's not actually just one thing.
Yeah, it's like saying, the president of Think and Go Rich said this last week. It's like saying which letter of the alphabet do you like the most? Well, you can't like one the most because without that one letter, the whole alphabet doesn't work. You can't be a good writer anymore.
Exactly.
You need all the letters of the alphabet. I'm like, that's a great example.
Yeah. So,
habits are like, all good habits should be a part of the change. But I would obviously,
No, do you know?
What's
Go.
yours?
No, go.
Let me hear yours. I have mine, but what's yours? Oh, you don't know yours? Okay.
No, I go.
Okay, so go ahead.
Just go.
Why don't you rock paper scissors? Okay, you're going first. Go. On camera, lost.
Hey. Okay, so for me, it was definitely not like funneling out the inner saboteur. So the voice in your head that is like, you can't do it, blah, 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 blah. That was the loudest voice in my head growing up. I used to that was the only voice I ever listened to. What could go wrong? All the crap, all the blah, 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 negative. So funneling and telling myself that was, just ignore that. That was nothing. And this was when I started building the habit of talking to myself. Because I was like, girl, forget it. That was the inner saboteur. That doesn't mean anything. Don't believe that. So building up that habit of telling myself that the negative thoughts going through my mind or the limiting belief going through my mind was just my mind spewing BS was the biggest habit that changed my life personally. Because I was super in the fold of mental illness, and when you let that voice talk and talk and talk and talk for hours on end is when you get into that depressive state. And from someone who lived in that state for a very, very long time, it was literally that single thing that changed most of how I looked at everything else after that. Because I was like, this isn't real. This doesn't matter. This is a limiting belief. Ignore it. Where now it goes to the fact that I'm just my brain is like, do I even have negative thoughts anymore? Because I don't even notice them. I funnel them out so fast now that it's the only thing I'm thinking about is what could go right, what's next, and positivity. So that was mine.
Ours is very close, and I'll start it with saying, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. That's my favorite quote in personal development.
Yeah? That's actually your favorite?
That's my favorite quote. It sums up everything.
Okay.
What's yours?
No, go.
Do you have one?
Just, no.
Do you have a favorite quote?
No.
If I had to go one quote, if you change the way you look at things, you change the things you look at. What? No, change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Yeah. That's the truest statement I've ever heard in my life.
Mine might be, in every obstacle there's a seed of equivalent benefit.
But isn't that a perspective that you change your way you're looking at?
Technically.
So mine's the source.
Yes.
Of
yours is the, if you change, it's the simplest.
It's the source of all personal development.
Yeah.
Change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. Everything is about changing the way you're looking at things.
Yeah.
That includes changing beliefs, perspective.
You're right.
That changes habits.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So my answer would be as well, if I said the first, I'm not going to say it's the one thing that changed my whole life. There's no such thing as that.
But the first thing,
The first thing, I would say.
Yeah.
That's a better question to ask, because no one should sit here and think, if I just do one thing, I'll get everything. No. Then we're promoting the wrong thinking here. This is nothing's like this. Mm-hmm. Right? You like we said, you can't be if I just, get the best letter in the alphabet, I'll be a great writer. No, you won't.
Yeah.
If you just learn how to, steer in the car, you'll be a good driver. No, you won't. You got to learn all the other stuff, right? Yeah. So I'll say the first thing, though, initiation to me. I was going to say initiation. The first initiation of growth that changed my life in terms of a habit I built was positive thinking. It was definitely learning to think like what you just said. Yours was to shut up the voice. Mine's just the opposite focus of it, which is the same thing, though.
Okay.
I would amplify the positive voice.
Okay, yes, okay.
So
it's different, though.
I was always rebelliously positive, though.
Yes.
But I just wanted to make it a habit.
Yes, he was. You were. That makes sense. That makes sense. I was always
you'd say something, I'm like, no, it's going to be good.
He would be aggressively that actually,
optimistic on a very...
On steroids, yeah.
But it was not a habit. I don't know. I wanted to make it a part of who I am, not just something I do. So I wanted to make that a habit. But I also wanted to make it a habit in the moment of like adversity. Because I knew if I could get myself to have a bulletproof mindset in terrible situations, then nothing can bring me down. Because the only thing that brings a person down is when you fail or something bad happens and you start giving up. It's like the quote is as old and true as it says. The only limitations are self-imposed, right? It's like the only person really holding you back is you.
Yeah.
Nobody else can. Mm-hmm. So overall, I started to develop the habit of positively looking at the good in everything when things bad would happen. So I got really good at it in years before I built a business. Years before. Because I got really good at something bad would happen, I'm like, this is good. Mm-hmm. I don't know why yet. I'm going to figure it out. And I started to get really good at finding out why right away. I didn't say I don't know why yet.
Yep.
Like I would do something bad would happen. I'd be like, man, I'll give you the stupidest example ever. I actually use it on every small thing in my life. This was like maybe 7 years ago. Sorry, 5 or 6 years ago. I was living at home with my parents, and my dad was still alive at this time. We lived in Newmarket, and I had no money. I had no job, but I was practicing the first ever habit in my life that I was making like a religious habit, which is positively looking at everything. Mm-hmm. So I'm becoming grateful, essentially. Like gratitude becoming a habit. Like I'm grateful this happened. I don't know why yet.
Yeah.
And I had this protein powder. And I went and bought this protein powder, and I had no money. So like it was like tough for me to, like $60 for a protein powder was a lot for me. So I'd buy a protein powder, and I'm like, I cherished it because you know what? I was working out. This is the only thing I had. I would work out. And I remember I finished like 80% of the protein powder, and then I noticed that it was expired. I'm like, damn, I just ate this entire thing, and it was expired like from 3 months ago. So I'm like, I bought expired protein powder. So in the moment, because by then I had built a habit, I go, this is great. I don't know why yet, but it's great that this is expired, that I just had it all. So what did I do? I'm like, this is an awesome opportunity. I don't know why it was an awesome. I'm just like, it's awesome. And I went back to the store. I'm like, it was GNC. And I'm like, hey guys, like, I just bought this like 2 months ago or a month ago. And I just realized it's expired. And I was like almost done.
Yeah.
But I didn't, like, it was like this much, like out of this much, it was like this much left, right?
Yes.
And like, oh my God, we're so sorry. And they give me a whole new protein powder for free. I remember taking out, like, are you guys sure? They're like, yeah, don't worry. Like, we don't usually do this. We're so sorry. And I grab it. I'm like, oh, all right. And they're like, here's 10% off your next purchase too. I'm like, all right. And I go home and I'm like, man, truly everything is good.
Everything's good.
I'm like, look at this. Expired protein powder. I got twice the protein powder. That's
actually awesome.
It's funny. I remember going home. I'm like, man, if you honestly look at everything as a good thing will come out of it. Naturally. Like, I could have easily been pissed and just thrown out the protein powder and then just moved on. I could easily went back and been rude to them. And, they wouldn't have given me a new one. Yeah. There's a lot of bad things that could have come out of it if my thinking was terrible. My thinking, I built a positive thinking habit. It's a thinking force that, like, was positive. Yeah. And good things came out of it. And there's, like, so many situations, small things like this. There's big ones, too, like, huge. Like, something tragic happens. Like, we might hit a bad month. I have to, like, cut losses. And I'm like, it turned out great. Yep. Turned out amazing. Yep. It's just, man, I'm telling you, the first habit, I think that I don't think you could succeed without this habit. That's why it's the first.
I agree.
Is just positive thinking. And positive thinking, not like delusional, like, oh, everything's gone on, and you're depressed at home. What I'm talking about is genuine, sincere, real, like, optimism about things.
Yes.
Where you have faith inside of you. Because you're like, everything's always going to work out. Because it always does. Yep. So that's my answer. Good question, Isaiah.
So do you guys believe, because you said something, do you believe in self-talks? Do you think that's normal to just have self-talks for yourself?
1,050 million %.
I think you're mentally ill if you don't talk to yourself.
I talk to myself all the time.
It is a mental illness to not talk to yourself.
You think so?
100%. If you're keeping voices inside your head, you're more crazy than the person that just genuinely talks to themselves out loud. Voice is in there. The voice is in there.
Yeah.
You were suppressing. It's like having a caged gorilla inside your mind you don't even let out. Mm-hmm. I think that's more sick than someone who talks to themselves. Someone who talks to themselves is healthy. They know that they are not them, so they are like two people essentially. They're spared. They are that conscious, aware that they're themselves, like they're a person themselves. Yep. And then there is something running this body of theirs. So this person is more normal to me than the person who pretends as if they are exactly that one thing. Yes. And everything's inside. They don't like think about it.
That is such a great way to put it. That's huge. But no, yeah, definitely. It's interesting. The way that you said that made me really think about it. Like the dimensions of like humanity. And like, I feel like when you talk to yourself, you're going through like the different levels of who you are. Because you're like, you start to analyze, or this is just what I do maybe. You start to analyze, physically I feel this. Okay, this hurts. Why could this hurt, Jeanette? Oh, well, physically, I worked out, blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, oh, my head hurts. Like, why could this be happening? I think I just need to drink more water. Yeah, I'm going to drink more water. And then you drink more water and you're like, oh, no, I do. I feel good. I feel quenched. Like, my headache's going away. Like, I talk to myself. Not like this not that, maybe not that in depth, but like, Jeanette. Not like
How
that.
do you feel today?
Not like that sing-songy, but I do genuinely talk myself through things that are happening. Like, if a situation happens, this is when you start to build the habit of responding versus reacting. You're like, oh, this just happened. Why? What can I derive from this situation? Not this voice, but you know what I mean? And then you start to talk to yourself through stuff that happens. Like,
previously on Suits. That's all I hear when you say that stuff.
Sometimes though I do run a show.
Morgan Freeman's voice?
I do run a show in my head. And I'm like,
why do you feel like this, Jeanette? That's not what Morgan Freeman sounds like. It's not.
Sometimes when sometimes I'll have Samuel L. Jackson in my head. Sometimes
surprise, mother. Sorry.
Sometimes Denzel will come in and be like, I guarantee it. It just depends. It really just depends. But talking to yourself, I think, is the biggest habit that you can build, because you're analyzing what's happening to you in your life on a deeper level.
How else do you train your mind? Please tell me.
Facts.
How else?
If you don't talk to yourself, how you do it?
How do you do it? How does someone do it? I generally don't know any person who trains their mind and discipline without self-talk. Just tell me a way. Is there a way? How else do you get your mind? How else do you give impressions to your mind to listen to what you're saying? You can't think your way through it, because clearly if you thought your way through it, you'd win that battle all the time. But everyone's losing the battle of thinking because their thoughts are just pouring in rivers of random stuff that they can't control.
Yes.
How else do you control your mind?
How else do you control your mind? If it's not self-talk, what is it? That's such a good point.
Writing is a form of self-talk.
I was good. My brain was like journaling, but journaling is absolutely.
But even then, like,
self-talk on
writing.
paper. Yeah, but it's still just self-talk
It's just more thoughts in your mind
that you're putting to paper.
Think of it like this. I wish I could have like an animation on the screen, like
Isaiah, do your work after.
Split a line in between. There's non-physical, there's physical reality.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much non-physical crap going in your mind that's not tangible. Talking or writing about it pulls it from non-physical to physical.
Yes.
And when it comes to physical, you actually own it now.
Yes.
In the non-physical, you own nothing because it's all invisible. You can't touch it. You can't grab it. So it's like if you self-talk, you take non-physical things that are bothering you, you bring them into the physical, and you conquer it here. Because it's a real thing now.
Naturally,
if you keep it in the non-physical, all the other non-physical elements will just drown yourself in it. Because over here, you're not really the driver. Over here, you are the driver. The body is like your key to like self-control. So
this is a great point.
So would it be like a transcript if I'm writing it down? A transcript of the voices going in my head?
yeah, writing down what you're thinking is the fastest way to get it out of your mind. Saying things to yourself is the fastest way to put things in your mind.
How do you know which is which? Because many people have a lot of voices in their head. Like, let's just say I went to the gym, and then one voice will come in my head. You know what? You went to the gym. You worked out so well. You know what? Just skip a day. What type of voice? How do you know how to differentiate
Simple.
those type of voices?
Listen.
Simple. No, it's
That would
not.
be
You
my
can't say
answer.
that. You can't say that.
What's your answer then?
That's like saying, how do you feel good? You just feel it. That's
No,
not,
okay,
that's an answer.
okay,
You
what-
gotta say how.
Okay. What's your
How
answer?
do you know the answer? Whose voice you're listening
What's
to?
your answer?
I have an answer. What's yours? You want to lose again? Okay, fine. I'll say. So, here's how I looked at it. I don't know the answer. I'm just giving you my way of looking at it.
Okay.
Anything that encourages me towards my goal is my voice. Anything that derails me from it is not my voice. So if I hear something that tells me to do something, encourages me, a bad habit or drifting habit or something where I think it's discouraging, I'm like, where did this come from? Because I wouldn't say this to myself. Now, some of you watching are like, Armin, I'm my greatest enemy. Okay, yeah, we get that. We get it, self-imposed. But just remember this. Nobody was born ruining their own life. No one. So when you remember that, you go, oh, yeah, I didn't get born trying to hate myself.
Yeah.
Somebody had to teach me to hate myself.
Mm-hmm.
You were taught to get in your own way.
Yep.
And so when you're taught to get in your own way, your question is who?
Mm-hmm.
I've done the work in my life to find out where my limitations came from. I didn't put them on myself. I just took them from someone and put it on myself. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, where did they come from? When I realized that, I go, it's just that. And I worked really hard over the years, repetition and time, to get that person out of my mind. When I got them out of my mind, I closed the doors on them. I'm like, it's just me in my mind. That's why I rarely hear bad things. Now, can you be tempted by cravings and stuff like Isaiah said, oh, just take a day off? That is like, that's the voice, that's your, let me put it this way. Because I want to say a word, but like.
You want to get woo-woo?
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, so here's how I look at it. I'm a student of Think and Grow Rich, and one of the books Napoleon wrote was Outwitting the Devil. And he interviews the devil in the book. It's a really good book. Explaining to you like pretty much the cause of all failure in people's lives and how to like avoid them. And TGR is the same thing, but Outwitting the Devil is like on a very deep like spiritual level. So as I'm reading, and I'm rereading that book right now.
Yeah.
I've finished rereading Think and Grow Rich. I want to reread Outwitting the Devil. And so when I hear that voice, I go, it's the devil. But I'm not like it's not like a real devil. So the book is about like the devil is negative energy. It's the negative side of an atom. Every atom is split into positive and negative ions, right? Mm-hmm. So the negative side is the devil. So that part, it's like it's its job to be negative. It's not that it's out to get us and it's going to eat us alive, but it's not like this fear-based crap. For me, it's more about like it's the devil right now talking. Okay, great. So I literally pretend I'm in a battle with the devil and I win. I put myself in positions I always win. So and when I'm going through, I'm like, yeah, you probably want me right now to drift. You probably want me to like do something that's not towards me. Yeah, get out of here. No way. So I treat the talk as a separate entity, like an enemy, as an invisible enemy. That's what I do, and it's easier for me to control it that way. I like talk, and when I'm like letting it affect me, when I start indulging in things, I'm like, oh, this is bad. I talk to myself. I go, are you really gonna let the devil take this? That's what I do. I go, are you really gonna let him do this to you right now?
Yeah. And
I talk myself like as if I'm my own teammate.
Yep.
Against the enemy, the invisible enemy. I have these. Some of you watching, like, we got to submit Armin into a psychotic hospital.
But I do the same.
Well, that's like how else would you do it?
Thing.
Right? It's like the only difference is an average person would assume to go to a psychiatrist to talk about it to them that they're having these thoughts. I'm like, I'm my own psychiatrist. I'm saying that on myself. So, and you've been through that, right? Like you've been through the actual medical journey
yes,
of
depression.
Yes, I
have. Yes.
So my answer is this. You don't have to get all woo-woo with the devil thing. I like it easier because I'm into superheroes, so I look at it, I'm like, I'm just literally against the enemy.
Yes, yes.
But on a practical level, those are thoughts that come, like I said, from social heredity. It comes from you learned it somewhere. Media. Think about this. If I never watched a movie, read a book, talked to someone, or met someone who had bad habits, how would I even know to indulge into bad habits? So I had to learn it. So I look at it practically and go, anything that is bad, that like, skip a day, or why don't you eat this right now? It's just a test of discipline. So I sit there, I go, this is something that I see in movies, this, I've been influenced, this is an option to do. Mm-hmm. If I knew it's not even an option, I wouldn't even be tempted by it. So it's just, the whole knowledge of good and evil. Like, I'm not religious, but like, think about the story of, Adam and Eve, knowledge of good and evil. Technically, theoretically, your brain, you have education on evil and good, right?
Yeah.
And the evil we call the negative side of your brain, where you're just thinking about stuff that isn't really encouraging or productive. And the other side is the productive side. So it's just like, which one do you want to let win? And so it's you're the real decision maker. Yeah. I look at it and go, if there's anything in my head that is deliberately I know is unproductive to my goal, it's not me. So I treat it like an enemy and I beat it. Yeah. That's how I do it. It doesn't mean that's the only way or the right way, but I all I know is all the encouraging thoughts come from me. Mm-hmm. I would never give myself an unencouraging thought. Neither would any of you. You might be saying, but no, I always criticize myself. It's not you though. Yeah. You have to learn that from someone that was criticizing you to know where did you even get the idea of doing this. Mm-hmm. You don't have to learn to love yourself. It's something you just naturally do. Yeah. If I left you alone, you will learn to take care of yourself because it's you. Why would you not? It's an instinct. It's not an instinct to beat yourself up in your mind. So that's my answer. What's yours?
So, yeah, I think when Armin kind of talked about it. So coming from the position of, being diagnosed with mental illness, having to, go through psychiatrists, counselors, all of the above, what that process really teaches you to do is start to analyze your thoughts. So one thing that I learned, and this kind of helped me, was, and I said listen to them, but I don't really mean listen to them. I mean, like, hear it coming through, acknowledge it, and then try to find the root. So Armin talked about that, right? Every thought that goes through your mind is not your own. A lot of it is social heredity, things that you heard, like TV, whatever. You input so much information every single day. There is so much more thoughts going on a conscious and subconscious level in your mind, no matter what you do. So one thing that I learned from counselors was that they got me to question my thoughts. So anytime a thought comes in, I naturally first listen to it and I'm like, okay, where is this thought coming from? What is it? Is this something that I thought? And like Armin said, if it's a positive one, I know it's me. I know this is my inner self, God, whatever, all of the above, talking to me, and it's good.
Yep.
If it's a negative, and then at that point I'm like, okay, it's kind of like a mind map, right? I'm like, okay, here's the thought that came through. Positive or negative? Positive, negative. If it's positive, I'm like, okay, great. This is my inner self talking, blah, 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 blah. We're good. We're rocking. If it's negative, I run a couple different scenarios. I'm like, okay, if it's negative, who could it be? Where did I learn it from? Where did I hear this? Is this was this from a personal experience? Is this someone else's experience that they told me about? Is this, like, I literally run through.
I'll add one thing that I just remembered. So can a negative voice be yours under only one circumstance? If you're in fear.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking,
Good point.
Yeah. So
good addition.
If you ever hear a voice that derails you from your goal, and it's not like no one did it to you, it's because you're in fear.
Yes.
Fear will cause you to act unintelligently. Example: if you're afraid of failing at doing something, you'll procrastinate.
Yeah.
If you're afraid of failure, you'll procrastinate. No one has to teach you or tell you you're not going to be able to do it. It's just a fear. Yeah. But that's also, to me, I say it's the devil against the enemy. So for you, it could be like, who taught me that fear is the question.
Yes. Yeah.
But now it is your own voice because you were taught to be fearful of something. So and just to give an example, in December when I was depressed, I was procrastinating on all my duties in my business. That's why I got at a very, very low level. And when I analyzed it, I was afraid of failing again because I wanted to launch again, but I failed the first time. I just was so much work. I started to do all these things that made me give excuses for why I shouldn't go back to doing the work. And when I just realized that that's what I'm doing, I stopped. I took a decision. I go, look, failure is a good thing because I learned from it. So as long as I keep going, I'll get what I want.
Yeah.
And so it's not like anyone told me I can't do it. In fact, everyone around me was like, you could do it, Armin. And I'm like sitting at home, like procrastinating on everything.
Yes.
Because of fear. And fear of different things could cause you to be irrational.
I'm actually really happy that you brought up that point because that is true. It really is, when it's a personal negative self-talk, it is fear, and that was a really, really great point. But yeah, I run the scenario if it's negative, and I start to just ask myself a list of follow-up questions that I've picked up along the way. Yeah. Who said it? When they say it to me? Is this a new thought? Is this an old thought? Is this like a repressed thought? What emotions?
This is a document?
Yes.
Send it over.
and then I go another layer down. What am I feeling?
Material. Life coaching material.
It's in my program.
It's in her program.
So it's basically like the 5 W's, basically. Like
but there's
where.
kind of, but there's some.
Too? Do you have that written down? Set it all.
But yeah, and then I think about my feelings, and then I think about physically what's happening to my body. Is my heart racing? Is my stomach in knots? Like I really break it down.
All of this.
Yeah, but I learned. But I only
self-awareness is self-analysis.
I really only learned this post counseling, post therapy, and I was like, okay, how can I step in for myself now? And that's a huge thing in my opinion about mental illness that makes people feel stuck is that they go to counseling and they try to get answers from other people, but your body, your mind, your heart knows all the answers. You just have to ask it. So yeah, so that's what I do.
You have the keys to the door?
That's what I do.
When are you going to show me all the stuff you've been building?
I want to have a meeting this week, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, coincidence.
Help me.
She wants to be a coach, guys. She is becoming one.
Yeah.
It's good. So we'll see her soon. The reborn experience.
But yeah, so that's my answer to your question.
You know what you said, and all you guys, you said something that really connected the dots for me. Yeah. You said as soon as a thought comes in, the way I could differentiate between what's good for me and what's not good for the goal is it encouraging the goal or is it discouraging?
Well, like I said, so if I had this battle this morning, man. You think it ever ends? It usually doesn't end. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll come out, you guys can master it. It'll never happen again. But this morning I wake up. I'm gonna work out. It's chest day. And I did. But I'm like, let me sleep a little more. And then these thoughts come in. All these thoughts, maybe I could work out at night. Maybe it's smarter to sleep a little more this morning. Yep. Maybe I should. It's all these intelligent.
So even at the highest level, you still battle with this. So
all these intelligent. Well, I had a drifting kind of weekend. I actually let myself drift. I'll admit to that. I did a lot of crap that I wouldn't do, right? So it's I ate foods that I wouldn't eat. I pretty much did nothing towards my goal, but I'm I just want to. I just felt like it. It was this craving. So I'm let me satisfy the craving. Now, even that is very dangerous. I'm lucky I have a lot of self-discipline because even craving, even knowing I'm doing cravings, even still, I woke up like as if I'm resisting again all over again, as if I have no discipline. I'm like, I gotta work out, and then I thought about all these leverages I have, reasons why I can't listen to that. I wake up, I'm like, no. I promised someone yesterday I'm gonna work out today. So I actually promised someone else I will work out because I didn't work out the whole weekend. I'm like, yeah, I can't. No, I can't do it. I'm like, also I want to feel good when I'm on the show. I don't want to get on the show feeling like sluggish. I'm like, oh God, I did sleep well already. So it's like a debate sitting there. I'm like, but I could work out at night. You know, it's not a big deal. I'm like, maybe I should sleep more. That's actually more important that I sleep more.
Even at the highest level.
Man, here's how I look at it, man. The devil will come in even on your side and make you think that procrastinating is a good thing. Because I got, like, I'm having a debate in court with the devil.
Yourself.
Yeah, well, I say with the devil. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, this guy, or whatever, this entity, guys, don't get scared. My point is, I'm like, the enemy is making some great case points.
Great
on why I shouldn't do what I know I should naturally do for my discipline. And I can think. And then I go, yeah, it's like sleep in. Why not? You can do it. Or it says, don't even work out. Wake up and just read. Because you haven't read for a while. It's just telling me not to do the thing I want to do. Let me get this straight to you guys. When you have a goal, just expect opposition to show up. Like, there's no way you're not going to have opposition. Challenges it's a part of the test.
Yeah.
So I'm like getting up. I'm like, man, and I'm fully awake. Yeah, I'm sitting in bed. I'm like, that's a comfortable bed. I'm like, it's a comfortable bed. Should I get up? And I did sleep in 30 minutes. I actually got up 30 minutes. Like, I woke up. I'm like, my sleep quality was good. I looked at the sleep cycle. I'm like, yeah, this is good. Like, I'm like, maybe I sleep in more. Maybe I go to the office earlier. I work instead of working out. I'm like finding all these reasons to not work out. But then I'm like, no, I promised the person I'm going to work out. I said I'm going to work out. I'm like, why wouldn't I work out? Isn't the top part of my goal to have a superhero body? So I remind myself of the goal. See, the goal's so important. I go, no. Part of my goal is to do that. Why would I not do the thing that's feeding my goal? And I'm just sitting there. I'm like literally sitting there. I'm like, man, I should get up.
You guys see self-talk? Self-talk.
I'm sitting there and by the way, it got harder because I was speaking in my head. If I spoke it out loud.
Speaking it out loud is like,
that would be instant. Because you know what I did? Like, I'm sitting there thinking about all this.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking, and it's so hard to battle. You have less power in your mind. It's just hard because it's just so much going on in your mind. And eventually, what happened, I either got a text or something. I don't even know what it was. But I saw it, and I got the trigger, and I'm like, and out loud, I'm like, all right, let's go, man. Yeah. I'm like, let's go. And I stood up, and I stretched. I'm like, and I read my goal out loud. And I'm like, let's go, baby. And I got out of bed by saying it to myself. And then I started working out, and I'm like, now I'm on the toilet, right? I'm sitting down, like checking. I deleted all my apps yesterday. I'm going on a detox, 7-day detox, getting dopamine detox. I really need it. And so I'm sitting there, and my fingers like thinking there's social media apps to click on to waste time on the toilet. So I'm like, no. And I just put my phone away. I'm like, what am I doing? And I sat there, as I'm like, morning toilet, whatever. Everyone does this, I hope. I'm sitting there, and I'm like, still thinking. I'm like, well, it's really early. If I go to the office, I can read more. Maybe I should. Still going, man. And I looked at it, and I said out loud to myself, I'm like, no. So I said out loud to myself, I'm like, no, as if I'm responding to the voice in my head. I'm like, no. We're working out, I'm going to crush it. End of story. And then I got up and I worked out. And so,
what do you want? And you have to know where you're going.
You got to know. That's why the what and the why are so important. You got to know what you want or else to why you're doing it, right? And then the why is the reasons why you need to do it. So if your why is weak, obviously in bed, I'd be like, it's not a big deal. Right? But I'm like, no, man, I got goals. I got serious goals. I want my company to grow. I want to have some goals. I want to still achieve. I want my body to be in a place. My team needs me today. People are counting on me. I'm like, no, all these reasons, get the hell out of bed. So if you don't have those, you don't stand a chance against the enemy.
Yeah. And when you level up and like start to become a high functioning person, the argument that you have with yourself is always good. Like, the things that you run through your mind are always really good things. Like, if you were listening to what Armin said, all the things that he said were technically good. I should get a little bit more rest. I should read. Let me go into the office a little earlier. Scary. It still sounds good.
Let me tell you something scary. Don't be scared, but let me tell you something fascinating. At the beginning of your stages, when you're in like rock bottom, when you really have nothing, your battle is against the negative thoughts.
Yes.
When you get past that, it's against all the tempting thoughts that are positive.
Yes.
It's actually ridiculous.
It's crazy.
When I realized, you know how I realized this? Reading Outwitting the Devil. Like, I was reading Outwitting the Devil, and I'm, like, reading Napoleon's work from, like, 60 years ago. I'm like, damn, like, the devil never lets you go. Like, it always is chasing you for the rest of your life. And, like, when I say devil, again, it's these negative thoughts.
Yes.
And all these negative influences and all these things in your life that want to hold you back. And I'm sitting there like, man, even at the top of success, now you're going to be tempted by things that you can have with your success. Yes. I'll tell you the 3 appetites. I told this on a show once. The 3 appetites that negativity, I'm going to call him the invisible enemy from now. The
Yeah.
invisible enemy comes in and tries to tempt you with, to throw you off your game, to make you drift. And drifting is essentially losing control of your mind and just letting go, losing definiteness.
Yes, yeah.
Is the appetite of food. So when someone starts making a lot of money, they start buying a lot of food, they get fat. Because they can afford it. So they have the richest foods ever. They could eat out every night. And honestly, I can't tell you how true this is. Every person, some people in this office, I'm sitting down, I saw them from a year ago. I've been here for 3 years in my office. So I've seen some people be here. And as soon as I see some of these people make a lot of money, like I see them driving nice cars, they're all gaining weight. And I know for a fact they're eating out every day.
Yeah.
Why? Because that's the appetite. Like, they're going to hit rock bottom again.
Yeah.
Because the appetite's going to make them want to go back. The second appetite is sex. Just wanting to, and it's the expression for sex, whether it's falling in love with someone, being with someone, having a lot of actual physical sex, whatever it is, or just getting involved with like different people. Mm-hmm. It's an appetite, even at the high success, which it seems like it's a reward, right?
Yeah.
But see, even in the good stuff, it's actually bad invisibly. And it's going to come and like throw you off your game because, again, it's going to make your mind distracted from what you want. And eventually you'll stop doing all the things that got you to where you are. And the last one is actually the most invisible one. It's because it's crazy because I would never think about it as an actual temptation. But it's the appetite. It's the temptation to want to express your opinions loosely all the time. And this is a person that just starts becoming a talker. So, you get really cocky, you you start talking about everybody, either bad mouthing people or talking like you're better than others, and your mouth becomes very big, and you get indulged in egotism. Yeah. You start to feel like you're better than others. And this is also a habit that the invisible enemy comes in to throw you off your game again. And see, that's at the top of success. So at the bottom of success, you got all this resistance you got to fight to get out of it. Mm-hmm. Then when you get out, now you get a whole nother new resistance of you disciplining cravings. And that's why when you're listening to like great achievers on like all these good shows, high-level entrepreneurs, all of them come back to the same kind of talk, like discipline. Yep. Because without discipline, you can't get yourself out of poverty, and without discipline, you can't maintain success without being tempted to get off. Discipline becomes the most vital skill you need to develop in your life. Because without it, you cannot, your hand must be at all times on the wheel of your mind. And there are, in the beginning, it seems like you're just trying to find the wheel. Yep. But when you get out, it's now you're like trying to keep all the things from getting your hand off the wheel. So it's just really fascinating. It's when you accept that that's just how it works, I'm not afraid anymore. I just go, okay, for the rest of my life, the test is on. Yeah. And eventually I'll get so good that those kind of resistance or temptations don't stand a chance to me. And that's why people do reach a level. You see now all this, like I look at Tony Robbins, I mean, the guy probably, his temptations are so little, like this much, and he has so much leverage that it doesn't even hit him anymore to do anything stupid. So there is your key out of this battle is unconscious competence that we talked about. Mm-hmm. Becoming on autopilot of successful habits, becoming autopilot discipline, autopilot focus, autopilot healthy eating, autopilot exercise. Because then this invisible enemy has to work so hard against your subconscious programming and training to get you to fall off. Because it's a part of your nature to do the good things now. And so the hardest part's always in the beginning because you're consciously trying to fight against the things that are part of your habits, which are bad things.
Yeah. Woo! Comments.
Deep. Yeah, we got people. Whose Instagram is this?
That's mine.
We got some people.
Facebook. Facebook, we have Jessica Corey. Jessica Corey said, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Love you, Jess. Yeah, you're going to have to scroll. Sorry.
So what's going on here? Can you even read that?
Yeah, I can read it.
I can kind of read it.
Well, we have a lot of comments here. People are loving it. People are laughing. People are putting thumbs up. We have a comment from Maya Mimi.
Yeah.
She's like, talking to yourself is the key. We have same person. She's like, Jeanette, fam, goodness, from a different dimension on this earth.
Okay.
And I mean, there's evidence that says that the amount of money that makes people happy is just enough to buy smokes, drinks, enough. And then we have, he said, I don't know if it's a she or he said, enjoy. We have to put our money back to poverty, and this is true success, I think. And then we have Slats. He said, autopiloting, good habits, discipline, self-talk. Denzel's voice are all the key.
Denzel's voice, trust me.
And then Mel said, love, 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 love.
Oh, yes. Love you too. Love you, Mia. Brandon, nice to see you. Come to this side. We're going to end soon. Yeah. The countdown's on. But,
let's see if we missed anything.
What's happening over here?
Comments from Instagram. We have Kyla, I believe. She's like, top books you recommend in regards to reprogramming your subconscious patterns.
Okay. Think and Grow Rich.
I think somebody else said more. Go up.
Think and Grow Rich.
Scroll up.
That's it.
until Think and Grow Rich becomes a habit in your body, you should not be reading another book.
Yeah, it's just like emojis.
Just emojis? Okay, cool.
Think and Grow Rich.
That's what the online course.
Yeah, you can do the online course as well. You just got to go to online.thinkandgrowrichinstitute.com and just on the course for stupid low price. But it's because it's just starting out. So Think and Grow Rich. If you have not tangible results in your life from applying the principles of Think and Grow Rich, you haven't learned it yet. So don't take the plural off books. Top book. Think and Grow Rich. When you're done that, then you do outwitting the devil. So, yeah, that's how I look at it.
I agree.
Cool. So, thanks for coming back and tuning in every week. For everyone who watches every week, we love you so much. Make sure you go to AskArmin.com right now to submit your questions. Don't forget, right now, right after the show, go to AskArmin.com.
Right away.
And go and submit your questions to get some free coaching on it as well. We'll give you some thorough answers and help you out with that.
Yeah.
If you like the show, by the way, hit that subscribe button on YouTube and hit that little notification bell so that you can as well be notified when we post new content on how to build your coaching business, and we post new episodes as well. If you're on Facebook, make sure you share this as well so that more people can get out of maybe the drifting state. If they watch this, it might help them. Send it to someone. Send it to someone around. Tag someone down below that needs to hear what we talked about today. And if you're on Instagram, we love you so much. Send us as a DM to some other people as well. So thank you guys so much for coming back to the show. We'll see you every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Within a few days from today, you'll also get the episode on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Armin Chaffee, and you can find me or Clear Talk with Armin on YouTube. And you'll find all the episodes you might have missed. You can start watching those as well. We love you so much. Make the rest of your week the best of your week.